Hello, everybody! Yay! Welcome to another episode of the Cackle. This is where we meet with Midwest change makers and connect the dots between economic trends and the lived experiences of people navigating them. I'm Emily Heinz. I'm the founder and managing director of Entry Point. And at Entry Point, we partner with economic development organizations and nonprofits to foster inclusive and vibrant communities across the Midwest through research and community-focused programming. And if you want to check out any of our research, we actually have like the most amazing report of all time coming out on June 7th, but you can go to entrypointmi.com and check out all our research on the small business and startup community. And we have one coming out on Genesee County on the 7th, which is going to be so good. I'm so excited. It looks awesome. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Cackle. And if you're a repeat cackler, then glad to have you back. And today joining me is Intisar Bashir, and she's the founder of Browndages. Oh my gosh. And I'm like so starstruck.
Oh no, don't say that.
People know, like, I'm in a couple different Facebook groups where people are like always recommending Browndages, and I like went on these Facebook. I was like, today because I'm gonna talk to her. I was like, I feel like I started the Cackle just so I could meet local celebrities.
I'm not a celebrity.
Yay! Okay, so for people who don't know, tell like a little bit of your background and then kind of like what led you to starting Browndages and just all of your journey.
Okay. Well, I'm Intisar Bashir, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. My husband and I started Browndages just almost 3 years ago. November 2018 is when we launched. It's a bandage and first aid company that caters to the different shades of skin, the different shades of brown that, the people come in. We started this business after we noticed that once we realized that bandages were supposed to be flesh tone, once we realized that and we noticed that the ones that we were buying in the store were not matching the flesh of any of us or our children.
Yeah.
So we decided to, look into launching a bandage company. And so that's what we did. And here we are, like 2.5, almost 3 years later. We have a line of, we call them adult bandages just because they're without images and they come in 5 different shades. And then we also have a children's line of bandages that we have different characters of children in aspiring professions that they can actually grow and aspire to be. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was not aware when I came across your company a couple of years ago. I was not aware that the bandages were supposed to be, and then as like we're supposed to be like flesh tone. And then once like that when I saw your company is when I realized this, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh dear, that's really horrifying.
Yeah, like I didn't know growing up either. I definitely didn't know, but it's like once you know, you can't unknow, and then you're like, oh wait a minute. So if they're supposed to be flesh tone, how
Yeah.
are the people outside of this realm, this color shade, feel about it? So it was something that we felt should be tackled, especially because we have children, and we want them to always feel seen and represented. So
Yeah.
it was near and dear to us to be able to produce a line of bandages that represented the different shades of brown within our family. And like I said, going even a step further and giving them actual visual representation of children in professions that they could grow and become as adults.
And there were really no companies, like, especially at the time that you started up, there were no companies that were doing what you did. And there's still pretty much no companies that are doing that. Like, I won't mention the one just yet. We're not
Yeah.
fans. No one that watches this should be fans. No one should recommend them or buy them. But it's like, so it's kind of interesting just to see that, like, this is kind of a thing that hadn't really occurred to anybody before, and you guys were kind of able to like step in. And I would say, like, in a lot of different like Facebook groups I'm in, or like moms groups or whatever, like people are always recommending you guys and being like, this is the best. And so I'm like super excited that you're in the Midwest too. Like I was like, where are they even located? And like a lot of times I'd be like, oh, Washington, D.C. And I'm like, bummer. And I was like, aha, Ohio.
Ohio, yes, we have to represent for the Midwest because, like you said, it's always like down south in Georgia or it's somewhere up north, you know. But no, I'm in Ohio. I rep the Midwest, born and raised Columbus, Ohio. So,
yay, that's so awesome. And then what kind of like, I feel like starting a business, I mean, that's like a real power move. Like, I feel like you guys kind of were sitting, like, you were sitting and kind of thinking, like, oh, this needs to happen. Like, what made you just be like, and I'm going to start an entire company, the end? Like, what was that conversation like?
like I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like my father has worked for himself his like my entire life. He owns here locally in Columbus. He owns a men's clothing and shoe store business, and it's supported our family like my whole life. So I've always seen that. My grandmother, she used to have a restaurant. My aunt, one of my aunts on my father's side, she is a seamstress. So she's done that. My aunt on my mother's side, she's a singer. So it's like, and then so many close family friends of ours are also business owners. So I've always grown up with that. So it never even occurred to me that it would be some huge feat to start a business.
Yeah.
And so it was just, I don't know. My husband and I have always kicked around like business ideas. We're like, oh, we should do this. Should we get into real estate? Should we do this? Da, 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 da. And when we realized, you know, that bandages were supposed to be flesh toned and the ones we were buying didn't represent our flesh, we were like, hey, let's start a bandage company. Like in hindsight, I'm seeing how that might seem like what daunting, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's just like in the moment I don't think we really thought about how difficult it may be to like start a business from ground up. We were fortunate enough to, like I said, I've been surrounded by entrepreneurs my whole life. So a really good family friend of mine, Malik Salim, he is one of the founders of True Laundry Detergent. And so we just I connected with him and he was able to like through his manufacturer connect me with a manufacturer, and it was just like, I wouldn't say smooth sailing from there because there were other steps that we had to go through. We had to find a graphic designer, we had to find an artist to draw the images, and so it was just a matter of like putting in the legwork, you know what I mean, and finding and like fully developing the idea in our mind to see how we want it to be, and then just going from there. But again, like in hindsight, I can see how people are like, oh, you really started a business from like nothing. But to me, in the moment, I don't think we thought of it like that. We just were like, we want a business, and we see a void in, you know, in the bandage world, and so let's fill it. And so we just kind of did what we had to do from there.
Yeah. Are there any like special hoops you have to jump through? Because is it considered like a medical device, or is, you know, like something like that, like that there's all these like regulations around exactly how a Band-Aid needs to be made or something like that that you have to?
Well, since we went with like an established manufacturer, they have to jump through all of those hoops. We
Okay.
just give them our design, give them the colors that we want to have the bandages dyed to and stuff like that. So they jump through all of the, you know, legality hoops and stuff like that to get FDA approved and all that stuff. And we just give them our design and then they produce it essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. And like, so the that's so interesting. So it's like you have like an FDA approved, you're just like, no big deal. Tuesday.
No, to be completely honest, like that hadn't even crossed my mind. And I remember we were maybe a couple months into business, and a consumer actually reached out to us, and we're like, "Are you late? Are your bandages latex free? Are you FDA approved?" And we were like, "Huh? What? Okay, let's go back to our manufacturer." And so we asked them, and they're like, "Oh yes, 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 we're FDA approved. Our bandages are latex free." It was just like, we're really doing this, learning as we go, because it didn't even occur to us to ask those kind of questions until we were asked those questions.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like you don't know, like as a small business, you don't know what you don't know. And then all of a sudden, like you meet one person and they're like, oh, did you know you have to have like this kind of insurance? Oh, okay, I'll look into that. And then it's like, now you gotta do this thing. Okay, I'll look into, oh, you got to have W-2s, like send those out. Okay.
Google has been our friend, to say the least. Google has been our friend. Like I said, like even to mention the insurance thing, it's like pre-COVID, we used to go out and vend and at different, conferences around the country. And it wasn't until we applied to be in a particular conference that we realized, oh, we need to have like liability business insurance. So we were like, okay, let's go back and get this. And then it's like, okay, now we have insurance. But it just didn't, from jump, it didn't occur to us like, oh, we should have this beforehand, So it was just like we were figuring it out as we go along. And fortunately, thus far, we've been able to figure out most things. So.
What do you think some of the challenges, like as you guys have grown? Because I mean, to give people some perspective, you guys have like, I mean, you could rattle off some stats, but for instance, you have like 38,000 followers on your Facebook page. Like so it's not like you started a company 2 years ago and you guys have like 5 people that you guys sell to yourself. You have like a huge empire going on in just a couple of years. So like, what do you think some of the challenges have been like that you faced as you've grown your business, like from 2018 to now?
I would say one of the biggest hurdles that just because it's not an area of expertise for me or my husband, is just getting our business out there. It's just the exposure, the marketing side of it. Like I said, my background is in IT. My husband's background is in logistics. So it's like marketing, we don't know anything about that. So it's like, for the most part, if we get the exposure, if our products are put in front of people, they can somewhat sell themselves, because a bandage is a need that people have, and them coming in multiple shades to, reflect the different shades of people, like, okay, that makes sense. But it's just a matter of us finding out and playing with the different algorithms that all these social media platforms have to get us the exposure that we need to not only just continually sell to, our audience that already follows us, but to bring in new people. So we've relied heavily on the people that are aware of this, the word of mouth, them sharing with a friend, sharing with a family member. That has been tremendous for our growth. But we still have to, figure out how to continue to grow from there.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I mean, it's obviously like a scalable business where like there's a huge market opportunity there. So I kind of do want to mention, so there is a large company, and I won't say who they are, so we don't get sued.
Right.
Then all of a sudden there's a big package of something in my mailbox in 2 weeks. But so there's a really large corporation that came out probably like last July or something like that. And they were like, oh, everyone, announcement. We're going to be making our bandages that we've been making for 100 years, and we're now going to be making them in like different skin tones. And like a lot of people were like, after 100 years, you arrived at this point. It's such like an amazing like I was just like, please, nobody look it over there. No one look over there. And so I guess like, how do you react to like that announcement, and like how does that affect your business when there's sort of this large deciding one day?
Yeah, it came as a surprise to us, because like I said, we're a 2-person operation. We're just little us. Like, this was last year, so it was barely 2 years into our business, and prior to that, we weren't aware of any like big companies who were doing what we were doing. So we were filling a niche, like void in the bandage community, I guess you can say. So to hear that, it was a little startling, and it made us think, like, what it will be the future of us, like, will this not damage, but will this do damage to our business, to our sales? But fortunately, what we found after that announcement, it was just a lot of our supporters, a lot of our customers, they spoke out for us. Like, we didn't have to put out any statements or anything like that. Like, we got so many new followers from our current followers at the time, just sharing our business, saying, hey, in case you didn't know, there were people doing this prior to this big organization making this announcement. We thought to fill that void, before them. So it was great to get that amount of support from people, and it was surprising also to realize how many people had heard of us up into that point, because I'm not too social media savvy, so I don't even I didn't even know how many followers we had on Facebook until you said it. So it's just like, wow, like, to know that there's so many people out there who had heard about our brand and were willing to share it with family and friends and their platform and stuff like that. We greatly appreciate that, because that's the word of mouth kind of vote of confidence that, lets us know that what we're doing is meaningful.
Yeah, we do. So at Entry Point, we do a lot of research on the small business community. So it's kind of like, from when I saw that, it was like, I don't think people realize how much supporting a small business has an impact on their local community or on the economy in general, versus like buying from these like larger corporations that are like, they're way up there. Like, that money does not come back down to the community. Like,
Yeah.
it goes way up there. I don't know where it goes, disappears.
You and me both.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not being kind of like going towards like the local wages or local benefits or local, like, even like the fact that like buying from you would mean that like your family gets this and you're able to go out to like support other local businesses or pay for like your kids to go to dance class or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, I think that people don't totally realize like what an impact that has on the economy. And then, so it's like, people always got to like try to support small businesses, versus like, if you have an option of like, buy something on Amazon or buy something from this large corporation or buy something from a small business, you should like definitely go the small business route. I also think like, if you look at like, this is a product that is like Black owned business for Black and brown people, versus like that organization is not run by a Black person. They're just expanding their already existing gigantic product line to try to like make more money. So like, I think that's like also a big consideration. Like, that's a lot when I saw people reacting to the Johnson & Johnson news. They're okay, whatever. Everyone would know. When I saw everyone reacting to the news about that announcement, it was like, people were like, that's not a Black owned business. Here's a list of Black owned businesses that like create products for the Black and brown community. And like, shop there. And so it did seem like everybody was kind of like rallying behind you guys. So what advice would you give to other people that are like thinking about starting a business?
Do it. Like, I don't care how many different companies are out there who are doing something similar to what you're doing. Like, they're not going to be you. You know what I mean? Like, the way you design your packaging will never be the same as theirs, and yours might appeal to someone else, and theirs might appeal to someone else. So I'm just saying, just go for it. Like, there's no time like the present. Stop overthinking it, and just go for it. You'll learn as you go. I don't think you have to have an MBA to, you know, start your business. Like, just start it and figure it out as you go along, as we have. It's a learning process. It's something like, it's very empowering to be able to figure these things out on your own. And not to say that we've done everything on our own, because we're quick to hire out for things that we don't know how to do. But it's just like, I don't see any downside to it. Like, if it's something that you think about often, go for it. Like, don't let it just stay in your mind. Just go for it. There's no time like the present. There'll be someone out there that'll support you, and it doesn't actually have to come from like your direct family and friends. Like she said, like, we have a large following, and I can tell you that of those numbers, maybe 5 of them are family members. So it's just like, go for it. You know what I mean? Half of my family doesn't even have social media. So I know, like, of the majority of our followers, they're not family members. You know what I mean? So just go for it. And there's people out there who will connect with your brand, with your idea, and you just go from there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that is so true. Like, everyone kind of has like a unique contribution, and then just being able to, like you were saying, like when you guys started your business, you know, don't get caught up. It's like when people talk about like having kids, like waiting for the perfect time or whatever, like every single duck in a row or something. And sometimes you just have to like jump.
You just gotta go for it. Yeah.
And like, what do you think about kind of day jobs? Because I think a lot of times I hear people saying like, oh, make sure you don't quit your day job in order to start your business. And then other people like jump in both feet. And then like, how do you what advice do you have for people that are kind of like still have a job? Do you think like start it kind of on the side, or like?
Yeah, I'm saying like, sometimes you have to use your full-time job to fund your passion job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to tell somebody, oh yes, it's ideal, quit your job, put your 401k in this, because I'm not trying to mess up your life. You know what I mean? But do what you feel is like most your. Don't come back and blame me if, you know, everything doesn't work out. But I'm saying there's no shame in using your full-time job, the funds, you know, the income that you get from that, to fund a passion of yours, a job or a brand, a business, a product that you want to put out there in the market. And then, you know, put your head down, go to work, grind until you are in a place to quit your full-time job. You know what I mean? There's definitely no shame in that. Just be ready to work. Be ready to, like, when you're done with your 9 to 5, to start your 5 to 9. You know what I mean? Start doing whatever you need to do to make your business come and grow and get it out there. Like, it's not going to necessarily be easy, but if it's something that, like I said, you continuously think about or you're passionate about, like, do what you have to do to put it out there, or else you're just going to keep thinking about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's such real talk too, because it's not like I think often I hear people who are kind of like, you know, don't have kids or like have family money or something like that. And then they'll be like, here's how you start a business. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's so easy for you to say like your job or, you know, whatever. But like, I mean, I like hearing from you as like, you know, a woman and a business owner and like someone who's kind of like shifted different, you've had jobs in the past, different types of jobs in the past, career, like things like that. And then like you have children, like you have all of the things going on. I like magic. You also might own a time machine. I'm not really sure how you accomplish all the things. Investigating further. How do you feel like the last 18 months of like, I feel like there's been just, you know, pandemic, kids at home, you know, social unrest, like political goings-ons, like how has the last political goings-ons, that's what I just call it. I'm like, all that.
I understand.
It's like, how has that like kind of impacted your business, or kind of how has the last year, 18 months been for you?
It's been interesting. Like you said, children are at home. I was working from home full time. The kids are 100% virtual. So it was like, I'm a teacher and that is not my calling in life. I'll put that out there. Teaching is not my calling in life. It's just something that I had to do for the past 18 months, like you said. I don't know. It's been difficult, but it's also been very fulfilling for us. Like we've all been in the house together. You know what I mean? Like this is the most time that we've all spent together, like in a very long time. And so it's kind of been, I don't want to say fun because it has been stressful, but it's been fun at the same time to just be like fully immersed in each other. It's like the kids are helping us with the business. They're more in tune than they ever were, because it was like before they would be like, oh, I'm going to school. They come home, you got to eat, put them to bed. It's like now it's like that in between time of classes and doing stuff. Like they'll come downstairs and they'll ask about this. And I think it's, in the long run, it's going to be very beneficial for my children, because they're getting like a one-on-one close lookup on like the daily work that mom and dad put in, not even just for our 9-to-5 jobs, but like for our business. And I think as a child of an entrepreneur and how my father worked day in and day out, me seeing that, I think that is one of the things that drove me most towards entrepreneurship. And so I think in turn, my children seeing me and my husband do this will inevitably push them towards this as well. And so I think of that as a good thing. And so I think that has been one of the benefits of the pandemic for my family, and just us all being at home in close quarters and just right up under each other. So I mean, you, depending on the day, I'm sure I could say that was also like a negative, but overall I would say it's been a positive experience of us all being together, getting to know each other more. I would definitely say that. I had my children, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like the 5 love language test. And like most of the time you take it with like spouses, but they have one for children.
Oh, interesting.
And so I had my 2 oldest take it, and it was like, so you like gifts, and the other one, oh, you like affection. And it's just like, after spending so much time together these past 18 months, like I can really, really see the truth in those things. And I don't know that it would have never, ever been as easily seen without us spending this much time together. You know what I mean? How one of the children's like, she's not the most affectionate, but she'll come up under you. And it's like, just because we're home more often, she has that opportunity to do that. You know, before the pandemic, everything else was just like so fast paced that we might not have been able to, you know, sneak in those little hugs with her. But it's like things have kind of slowed down so much, and it's like we're able to, you know, give more to their individual personalities a little bit better. I don't know. I know that answer is kind of all over the place, but I've definitely seen some benefit that came out of spending so much time together due to the pandemic. And it's given, and as far as the social unrest that's going on, it's given us talking points to have with the children. Like, I think prior to this, we would have just been like, oh, they don't sit down, they don't watch the news, they don't know what's going on, we don't necessarily need to talk to them about this. But it's like, okay, we're here face to face. You know, they're online more than they were in the past, because it's like, what else is there to do, especially last summer when it was like everything was locked down. So it's like so it's like they heard about the things that were going on. So it was like, it gave us, you know, the time to have those conversations, those crucial and sometimes awkward conversations to have with your children. But it's like, there's no time like the present. We're here, we're all together. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I love that. You seem so like roll with the punches. Do you feel like that? Like it's kind of like you're like, yeah, this is the situation we're in, or like even like you're talking about like starting the business and kind of figuring things out as you went along, and like then the pandemic happens, or like, you know, all these things happen. It's kind of just like, okay, well, here's the situation we're in now. How do we adapt to that? Do you feel like that's like helps you so much as a small business owner?
It definitely does. We've like as far as the business and with life, we're definitely just like kind of rolling with the punches, playing the cards that are dealt with to us, and just figuring it out as we go along, and try to, at the end of the day, just present the best example to our children. That's really what our top goal is. Like, yeah, they might see it as not always easy, you know what I mean? But I don't think everything should be presented as easy to your children. Like, I don't have any problems with them knowing that, like, okay, after mom or dad finish, work for today, like we have to, help them with homework, or, we have to go fulfill this orders and stuff like that. Like, we have to show a realistic picture of what life is, because I know my 11-year-old, she has this idealistic of what it view of what it means to be grown. And I'm like, enjoy the childhood while you can, love, because it gets real. It gets really real the older you get. But I want her to know that it gets real, but I also want her to enjoy her childhood. So I think showing a balanced view of what life really can, throw at you, and just rolling with the punches and doing what you need to do to get whatever it is you need to get done, is like one of the best examples that I could give to my children.
Man, I wish that was like a commercial for Browndages or something. Like, I really feel like your reaction to like, like how when asked about like the pandemic and all those things, like your reaction is like, how can you better care for the people in your family, and how can you like? And I just like love that coming from like a bandage. Like I'm like, yes, like you're thinking like here's a hurt in the world, and like how can you like better help and like care and heal people. So I love that. That's like I was like, oh, how wholesome. Thing I've seen in a long time. So we work a lot with economic development organizations and nonprofits that are kind of have been trying to like figure out like how to better support the small business community, and kind of like as these challenges arise, like how can they help like just support small business owners. Is there anything that you think, like looking at the, like I think Rev One is the economic development organization in like your region, or like this, the city of Columbus, or like the state of Ohio, when they're thinking about supporting small business owners, like what are some ways that you think that they could be more helpful to your business?
I think a way that like the city and the small business organization, I think like the SBA can like I said, like we're figuring out a lot of stuff as we go along. If they have the resources to like say like last week we were going through the process of becoming minority business certified. Like that's something that we've had on our list to do like forever. But it was like I had no idea where to start. So it's like if they have resources out there that can help you, one, like walk you through that process, or some documentation to walk you through that process. I don't know like how they would be able to get that out there to the masses, that it's available. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's walkthrough, maybe even YouTube videos or something like that. But to like somehow make it known to the small businesses that this resource is out there for you, and that it may be a person or something that you can talk to. Just because, like I said, Google had become my best friend, because a lot of the things that we needed, like we just didn't, this is new to us. Like we didn't know. And so to have someone out there who, I don't know, can walk you through it, or even like this just popped into my mind. Maybe like a business mentor. Like I wouldn't mind like mentoring someone like who is just starting. So if there's somebody out there who is like 5 to 10 years into their business that could help me and help me walk me through some of the things that I'm going through, like I think that would be like very, very helpful, because
Yeah.
it's like you know, a YouTube video or a PDF document is not always the most helpful, because you're like, say what now? And like they say go step A to B, and you're like, well, my process doesn't have this, and then you're completely lost. So if to have like an actual person that you could, you know, talk to and figure things out with, or talk to somebody who has actually already been through the process, that would be like even more helpful than documentation, now that I'm thinking about it, like a mentorship program or something like that. I think that would be,
Yeah.
for me, very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone who's like kind of scaled a company that's in your industry and could kind of be like, watch out for this or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is, I know there's like, you know, certified women-owned businesses, certified minority-owned businesses. What's the benefit of getting that certification?
Well, I know like even from like a government or like a state point of perspective, like I don't know what it is, but I think there is a requirement of X amount of dollars going to like minority owned businesses or women owned businesses or something like that. So once you're like certified for that, like you can be, I guess, on the short list of like, oh, if they're looking for this product or this service, they and they need to meet this quota, then they, you know, can find a business or a company that provides this service or this product,
That
and
makes
potentially, you know, utilize in you. So
okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that is. I'd be like, anybody need some research? They're like, no. Um, so what's on the horizon for you, sort of personally, professionally, for the next year?
We would love, once, you know, it's safe to do so. Like one of the things that we miss most is just getting out there vending, is because it was so nice to, you know, talk face to face with the consumer who was using our products. It was great to get, you know, the positive feedback, and then also get, you know, suggestions and ideas of what other things that people think that we should bring to market. It was always a good time to talk to people who, for the first time, were getting that same epiphany that we had, that bandages were, you know, supposed to be flesh tone. And it was great to get that reaction from people when they like found their shade and stuff like that. And that's something that we do miss. It's like with everything shutting down, like we haven't been able to vend since I think December 2019. Like everything that we had signed up for in 2020 was all canceled. So we look forward to getting out there to vend again, so we can meet face to face our customers. Of course, once it's, you know, legitimately safe and stuff like that. So we hope to see that happen within the next year. We're just constantly trying to think of, you know, different products that we can bring into our line, so that we can further fulfill the need of our community, really.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that sounds so great, and I'm super excited to see where you guys go. And you know, I'll be stalking you for probably ever. So, and then where can people go to buy Browndages?
They can go on our website, www.browndages.com. Feel free to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it's all at Browndages. We love to interact with our followers and stuff like that. So, you know, shoot us a message. I am literally the person that responds to every email. So if you get an email from us, it was from me.
You're like, heyo.
Yeah.
And people should send you their videos of them finding their totems so you can see,
Yes,
so you
yes.
can get some of that back, since you can't be vending right now.
No.
But yay, well, thank you so much for joining. It was so awesome to hear your story. I love it so much. And I will be rooting for you guys from afar.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, Emily. It's been great. I love the conversation we had.
Yeah. Okay. See ya.
Bye.